Hey guys, welcome back to another video that will blow your taste buds away. If it seems like I'm low on energy, it's because I'm f***ing hungry. I'm intermittent fasting. So, it's 10:30 a.m. right now. I woke up at 8. Can't eat till 12. So, let's get on with the video. Doesn't seem like a great idea to be commentating a cooking video when you're fasting, but we're making chicken tikka masala 2 ways. And the only variation between the 2 ways is how the chicken itself is cooked, and it has nothing to do with the sauce. Both ways result in an amazing flavored sauce and a great textured chicken. There's only some very small differences, but also makes a pretty big impact. I'm going to be pan frying half of the chicken and sous videing the other half to see which texture tastes better within the sauce and which one imparts more flavor and lends more flavor to the marinade and whatnot. So let's get on with it. Always marinate the chicken overnight, because I tried marinating the chicken for like 2 hours, 3 hours. I think that an overnight marinade is definitely essential. It ensures the chicken is flavorful all the way through. The marinade also ensures that the chicken will be tender because it includes yogurt and it includes lemon juice, both of which will help break down the proteins and make it taste more tender. So let's begin with the marinade by adding 1 cup of full fat plain yogurt, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, 1 teaspoon of ground cumin and 1 teaspoon of ground chili, 2 teaspoons of cayenne pepper, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of garam masala, 1 teaspoon of turmeric, 1 teaspoon of salt, exactly 25 cracks of coarse pepper, no more, no less, 2 tablespoons of minced garlic, and 1 tablespoon of minced ginger. Give it a good mix and let's prep the chicken. I use chicken breasts because I'm on that health wave, but you know, if you want the juiciest chicken and can spare the calories, definitely go for the chicken thigh. I found the easiest way to process the chicken breast is to remove the tender and cut it into bite-sized pieces. For this recipe, I use around 900 grams of chicken breast, or 2 pounds for you Americans. What we do, after processing the chicken breast, is you put it in the marinade and massage it like you would your significant other. After a good massage, you gotta let them rest, so cover with saran wrap and rest overnight. Finally, it's the next day, and the first thing we should do is to start roasting our bulbs of garlic. All you do is cut off the tops to expose the cloves, drizzle with salt and olive oil, cover, and bake for around an hour at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Afterwards, if you're sous videing, prep the chicken in a vacuum sealed bag and sous vide for 1 hour at 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Now I'm going to show off my amazing knife skills by processing 1 large onion into small diced cubes. We want the diced onions to be small because we don't want the structure to be maintained in the sauce. Essentially, these diced onions will melt into the sauce and impart flavor. Now we're going to be grating 1 tablespoon of ginger. You can mince it if you like having gingery surprises in your food, but I prefer to just impart the flavor, so I grind it into a fine paste. Moving on to the second method of cooking our chicken, we start by putting a high smoke point oil into the pan and browning all sides of our chicken. Once you're done browning all sides, set aside for later. But be careful, don't eat any yet though, because no matter how good it smells or how enticing that deep, rich brown color is, the inside is still raw. And if your inside is cooked, then you're doing something wrong, because all you want to do is sear the outside to impart the flavor and start a Maillard reaction. And notice how the bottom of the pan is full of brown bits. Now those brown bits will impart an insane amount of flavor once deglazed and scraped into the other parts of the sauce. Using the same pot with all the delicious fond at the bottom, add around a tablespoon of butter, then add your diced onion, and be sure to scrape off as much of the fond as you can to ensure it doesn't burn when you're frying the rest of the food. Once your onions begin to caramelize, add around 1/4 cup of tomato paste. Now notice here I added too much, so I just scooped out a little. and you want to cook off your tomato paste until the color starts turning a bit browner. This makes sure that the raw tomatoey flavor goes away. Now I'm going to be adding 4 crushed cardamom pods and the tablespoon of ginger that we grated previously. Add a little bit of salt, and now we're going to be adding our spices. 1.5 teaspoons of garam masala, 1.5 teaspoons of ground cumin and 1.5 teaspoons of ground chili, 1 teaspoon of turmeric, and 1 teaspoon of ground coriander. Fry for around 30 seconds to 45 seconds or until very fragrant. Now, we're going to use all our strength to crush an 800 gram or 28 ounce of can of tomatoes into the mixture. This is much easier than crushing the tomatoes with a spatula once it's already in the pan, so crushing it with your hands saves you time, and it's also pretty fun. Just make sure your hands are clean and not covered with shit. Once all the tomatoes are in there, mix and cook until the color starts turning more brown to get rid of that raw tomatoey flavor. I'm also going to be adding a teaspoon of cayenne pepper and a teaspoon of paprika. Meanwhile, the roasted garlic should be finished. Look at how good it looks. The garlic is all caramelized and it's gonna taste so good. What we do is you squeeze it out and mash it up and add it to your sauce. This is also a good time to season with a little bit of salt before we finish the sauce off with cream and more seasoning. I really like fresh coriander, so I prepare about a packed half cup of the stuff. Now, depending on whether you like it or not, you can just add a little bit for garnish for later, but I also like to add it in the sauce to have that fresh herbal flavor right after I put in the cream. I add a cup of heavy cream to the tomato mixture, followed by the coriander. The cream will cool down the sauce a little bit to ensure that the coriander doesn't just immediately wilt and lose all of the fresh flavor that you want in the sauce. Mix and let simmer for 1 to 2 minutes. The color should be a beautiful orangey red. Okay, so this is where the variation kind of starts. For the sous vide chicken, we just take the chicken, torch it for that charred flavor, ladle the sauce on, serve and eat. And for the pan-fried chicken, we take the chicken that we set aside earlier and put all of it and the juices back into the sauce to fully cook it through. And this usually takes about 8 to 10 minutes on medium to low heat. And it's also very simple because the sauce is already cooked and finished. So once you finish cooking the chicken, you just serve and eat.
Holy
So good.
That's so tender.
Holy shit, dude. After eating one too many bowls of this stuff, the conclusion was kind of not that clear as to which one was better. The pan-fried chicken had the fond and the Maillard reaction, which imparted a very high amount of flavor into the dish. And I don't think the sauce would be the same without the initial scraping of the fond when cooking the onions to impart that flavor into the sauce. So I think pan frying it is pretty essential. And however, the sous vide chicken method made the absolutely most insanely tender chicken breast. And most of my family enjoyed the sous vide chicken more than the pan fried chicken. The pan fried chicken was a little bit dry, but because it was served with sauce and over rice, it really didn't matter too much. But the sous vide chicken, if you've ever had sous vide chicken breast, you'll know it's so buttery and tendery. It just, like, it's unlike any other chicken breast that you've ever had. And I highly recommend you try it if you can, but the pan fried chicken is just as good. Now, if you're working with chicken thigh, I think that's a different story, because I've tried sous videing chicken thigh and pan fried chicken thigh before, and both methods reveal that the chicken thigh isn't that susceptible to drying out. So when you sous vide it and when you cook it in the pan, the results are kind of the same. So if you're using chicken thigh for this recipe, don't even worry about sous videing it. Just pan fry it for that Maillard reaction and the fond, set it aside and finish it in the sauce, like I said. So, To finish off this video, I highly recommend you make this dish because it's so easy. You can make a shit ton of it, like a huge ass pot, freeze it up, store it, and it'll last for however long you want to freeze it. So it's super easy to make. And if you're making it for a dinner party, it's also extremely easy. All you have to do is buy some naan, or make some naan if you want. That's f***ing hard. Make some rice, make this, have like 1 or 2 side dishes, and you're good. So, oh, my ribs are almost ready. Holy fuck. Could almost break my fast. Oh! So, I hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, make this dish. It's fucking good.